matter how good of a trader you are, you will lose money. Losing is part of the game. You can't avoid it. But our job is not to avoid losing money, but to become better at losing money. Most newbies, when they started out and they lose funds, they lose some money, they end up breaking down. All right? Probably because their account go in drawdown, or they blow the account, they end up breaking down. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing good losing versus bad losing. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, how do you differentiate good losing and bad losing? That's the big question for today. Now, at what point can you draw the curtain and say this is a bad loss and this is a good loss? At what point? Right? You need to understand that losses are inevitable. You just have to understand that losses is part of the game. Have that at the back of your mind first of all, so that when you take losses, you will be able to at least know why you took the loss and be able to differentiate it, right? Now, good traders, what they do when they take losses is they go back to the drawing board and be able to differentiate why they took those losses, or be able to fathom the reasons they took those losses, and try to see how they can be better so that they don't take short losses next time. All right, now in this video I'm just going to outline few tips, give you guys few tips to be able to understand when you say a trade is a loss is a bad one and a good one. All right, now recently I took a loss, a huge loss, and me going back to my drawing board, all right, to understand why I took that loss, I discovered certain things and I called that trade a bad loss. Now, when do you call a trade a bad loss? You looking at me. You that is looking at me, that is you Forex trader looking at me, that whenever you take losses, you just break down or you just feel the world has come to an end, or you call trading a scam. When do you call a loss a bad one? Now, this is it. When you take a loss in the market, you should be able to hold yourself accountable when these few things I'm going to mention, when you're guilty of these few things I'm going to mention. All right, now, did you over risk? Can you boldly beat your hand on your chest or hit your hand on your chest and say that you did not over risk? So if you took that loss and going back to your drawing board and your trading plan, and you'll be able to outline the fact that, okay, in this trade I over risked, okay, I FOMOed, I saw this movement in the market, and knowing that I don't want to miss this trade, I just want to pack out funds from the market. I don't want this trade to pass me by. Now, can you also outline that you FOMOed, that you had that fear of missing out and you had to jump on that trade without analyzing the market? Can you tell me that your setup was not intact before taking that trade? Can you also tell me that your stop loss was so large in a way that the trade stopped you out and you took a huge loss? Can you also tell me that when you're supposed to be risking 0.5 of your account, according to your account size, right? Can you also tell me that you over risked, probably taking 1% of your account or more than one, because you feel the trade is going to go in your direction and you're going to pack out funds from the market? If you can hold yourself accountable and you know you're guilty of these things I've just mentioned, one, over risking, like you're supposed to risk 0.5 and you risk 1%, probably you feel the market's going to go so well in your direction. If you're able to point the fact that you over risked the percentage you're supposed to risk, you FOMOed, you jumped into a trade with an analysis. That's number two. Number three, your setup was not intact. All right, you did not analyze the market for your confluences to be intact. By the way, confluences has to do with everything you look out for before you take a trade. Some persons have 4 or 5. Once those 4 or 5 things are intact, then you can go ahead to take your trade. That's what we'll call setup. So, was a setup not in place before taking that trade? How many have I mentioned? 3. Number 4, did you have a very large stop loss? All right, did you over leverage, that there was a stop loss so large that the trade went against you and you took a huge loss? If you can hold yourself accountable on these four things I just listed, and even more, if we look deep down, probably we can list more, right? But if you can hold yourself on these four things I just mentioned, if you can hold yourself accountable, then guy, you just had a bad loss, a very huge one, and big one at that. Yeah, it might break you down, but you have to understand how you can come out of that, how you can be better. All right. But then again, there are times you take losses. You look at these, you look at your setup, you look at these all things I just mentioned. All right. You look at your setup, the confluences being intact. You look at whether you over risked your account. You looked at probably your stop loss not being so large and all of that. When you look at these things, and you know that you didn't go wrong, you didn't go out of your plan, you didn't drift away from your trading plan and your trading system, and everything was intact before taking that trade, then that probably is not a bad loss. That is the kind of loss we can say that this is part of the game. No matter what you do, sometimes the market does not just go in your direction, even when all these confluences and your setup are intact. Yes, that is when you cannot define the market. It just so happened. It just so happened. I'm not even talking about news now. I'm talking about on the norm. On the norm, your setup being intact, everything being in place, and you took that trade and the trade still didn't go well. That doesn't mean you had a bad trade. It's not a bad trade, it's not a bad loss. It's a win-win situation for you. It's a win-win situation. And you need to close that day being happy that you did your part. Do you understand? So this is the only way we can differentiate between a bad loss and a good loss. And this is the only way we can say, um, I'm a good forex trader. At least I know how to take a loss. I know how to differentiate between a good loss and a bad loss whenever I take one, because it's inevitable for real. All right. Now that you understand what it means to have to take a good trade or a good loss and a bad loss, now that you understand the few tips I listed on when it comes to a bad trade, all right, and a good trade, the next thing you need to do for yourself is go back to your trading journal, all right? Go back to your trading plan. Start checking your previous trades, go back to the previous trades you took. Know the areas you messed up, the areas you over leveraged, the areas you didn't wait for your setup, you went out of your way to just place a trade out of FOMO. Start identifying those areas right away. If you don't have a trading plan or a trading journal, go get one. Start journaling all your trades. Start writing them down. Whenever you take trades, try to write down the loss size you took for that particular trade. Know the risk, the percentage you're risking. If you took loss or profit, try to also write it down so that when you put these things together, you should be able to determine whether this is a bad trade or a good trade, and then you start working to get yourself better on not taking such trades again. That no matter what, you have to stay disciplined. You have to be disciplined to the point whereby you can say, hey, the setup is good, but the setup looks good, not as good. The setup looks good, but I have to make sure I'm patient enough to make sure my confidence and setup is intact before taking that trade, before having that entry. If you can beat your hand on your chest and be disciplined on these things, going back to your trading plan and trading journal, and be able to differentiate these things, be able to call a spade, and know that, okay, I have to be so disciplined to make sure I don't fall for this next time. I don't take such a loss next time, such a bad loss. All right, then you definitely be better. You definitely be better on a daily basis. And that's the only way you can grow. That's the only way I can keep growing. All right, that's the only way we can grow in forex trading. Like I said when I started out this video, trading is part of the game. Sorry, losses are part of the game. It's inevitable. All right, it's what we do. But call a spade a spade. Be able to differentiate a bad loss and a good loss whenever you take one. All right. Thank you guys. And if I have given value, do comment below on the comment section. Let me know I've given value. Let me know what you're struggling with in your forest journey, and we'll be able to discuss those topics in other videos. We keep discussing those topics. And don't forget, I'll be going live very soon where we can talk, we can discuss, we can have a conversation about certain matters or topics that could be bothering us. And we can start taking trades, we can start taking analysis together, taking trades together, making money off the market together. All right. So this is where I call it today. And subscribe to my YouTube channel and give this video likes as much as possible. Turn up your post notification too. My name is Rex and take care for now. Bye.